Okay, and we're good.
Morning, everybody. July 25th, Thursday, I guess. Um, Pretty crazy day yesterday. So I have the ES chart here, and we're actually watching it here at this 72 to 74 area that we had a level at yesterday. Um, that we saw it sort of break below and get to the 62, and then very quickly reclaim, but it couldn't get over 54.90. So now we came. It helps me to sort of think about the order of operations and the sequences on the indexes. So broke below, reclaimed, could not reclaim 90, couldn't break below 74. So now we've got sort of a little range here, right? Now we broke below, and we broke below the low from the closing candle yesterday. Now we've reclaimed it. So it's a really sketchy spot for both bulls and bears. And so, sort of, my view on it would be that I don't have enough information to make a decision on where to put money this morning. You know, are we going to get further downside? And if we go to, let's go to the 4 hour chart. This was sort of the bottom of, is this from when the contract opened? Must be. So this is actually the gap from right? Is that right? Yeah, it's got to be. So this is from the contract rollover back in here. So 54.46. I would actually say that level we need to adjust down to like 42, and the reason is we've got SPX coming here and 5400. You can see right here it held that. We gapped up through it. So actually, holy moly. If we get down to this 5400, now we have a gap below it for 23, 24 points. So really, really critical spot to be looking at these indexes. And I'm still not convinced it's a good idea to try and catch it long. I think that there's some things that would make it something long worthy, and the things that I want to see in order to take long. I want to see this 90 get reclaimed here, this 54.90. I want to see the volume increase. That's another one, and that's really for me the two things that would make me want to take a long. Now, what are the things that would make me want to take a short? Well, I have plenty of short IWM, and I went home with that. Do I want to short if we come up to this 55.10, or if we come back to SPX 5500? I think that's a fair area to try and short, but I don't know if we're going to come back to that today. I mean, that would be a pretty wild 2-day move if we just V'd and came right back up to 5500. I don't think that's going to happen. So where else? 54.90, maybe. But if we get over this 54.90, I'd sort of like to see and wait and see what the reaction is off of 54.90 before I even make a trade. So yesterday, while there was a lot to do, today is sort of the exact opposite, where we really need more information to make a proper decision, and we need to see what, after I don't know what was yesterday, three and a half, almost 4% sell off on Nasdaq. I can't remember exactly what it was, but does the market digest it, or does the market continue selling it? I talked about yesterday this advancing and declining volume. Let's go and zoom out on this here. If you look, and we can go back all the way to 2023, every time we get into this purple box here, which actually I had to extend out because we hadn't really gotten in there since a month ago at least. But we had a pretty good sell-off in June, and then look what we did. We bounced right back up. If we look at in June, where are we here? Oh, we're on 2 hour. Let's go to 4 hour. Back in June, this is where we got really oversold. That's crazy, right? That's all it took for us to get really oversold. Now, look at that down move. We've retraced everything. I think it's a spot where trying to take a spec long is not a bad idea. I don't know. What do you think, Lee?
I haven't seen enough yet to make me want to get too long anything. I've taken a couple stabs, but
you guys hear me all right?
Yeah. Oh, hold on. Sorry, I was muted.
Yeah.
I was talking, but I was muted.
That doesn't help.
Yeah, I mean, I don't see too much yet that's saying, let's get long. Other than
that's sort of where I'm at is we got a couple of positions from the end of the day yesterday. Let's see how they play out. I don't know if I'm going to be adding to anything this morning, unless I see something when the market opens that's really.
I mean, the only indicator really is Kramer saying don't buy anything yet.
Yeah.
So maybe we should be looking, but yeah, I want to see things settle down a little bit and see a little bit of consolidation.
Yeah, I think that would make the most sense, is to get some sort of consolidation. Maybe not. I mean, if we see them, so I'm looking at the VIX on my other screen. The VIX is at 1817, and we were looking a lot at VIX futures yesterday. They're already starting to sell them a little bit. I mean, the VIX futures yesterday was a huge indicator for us that actually most of these up candles were on retracement moves. So it was the really good clue for us yesterday that we weren't done selling, because every pause they were buying more VIX futures. Now we're seeing this morning a little bit of selling in that. If we start selling the VIX, that could be a catalyst for some sort of put closing and squeezing move.
Yeah, it gives a little juice.
That's something to watch too. But all in all, for me this morning, yesterday was an incredible trading day. After incredible trading days, and my sort of gut is to take a step back and to let things play out, to not press, because some of the biggest losses come after the biggest wins. So that's my game plan today, is I am going to be taking a step back here, letting the market play and do what it wants to do. I have some IWM 218 puts, and I have some QQQ, I don't know what I have, 365 or 367 puts, or 367 calls. Because I think that could be a trade that unwinds both sides. We've got IWM looking to unwind, I don't know, a couple of weeks of crazy moves up. And I'll let Smooth go over the M pattern that there is in that. But then you've got QQQ that could unwind a couple of very big down days. So, I mean, QQQ went from 505. I mean, it dropped 40 points. That's a pretty significant move since a week ago. So let's take it easy today a little bit here and let the market tell us what it wants to do. The pre-market action Doesn't tell us anything about if they're going to want to buy XYZ stock. Um, Bitcoin is, I mean, I'm looking at MicroStrategy's down $100. What's Coinbase doing? Coinbase is down almost 2%. So, we have Bitcoin that is having a not great day today, but it's only down 2%. It's not crazy. But there might be some trades in some other sectors that haven't been as affected. Like Bitcoin could be one where do they sell Bitcoin and buy NASDAQ? I think when you get big sell-offs, you get a lot of people that have cash, right? Where does that cash get deployed is always the next question. So it's a little bit of a waiting game to see where it goes so you can make your educated decision. So I'll turn it over to you.
Thank you. All right. Quickly, just go over the indexes, what I'm seeing. Obviously, big sell-off yesterday. We came down to this gap that Nara mentioned, which I believe was the contract roll. But we pretty much came down right to it, bounced, and that's going to be your line in the sand for today, which is 55.43.44 area. So keep an eye on that. And then on the SPX, obviously we're down sort of in 5400 territory. We have this support here at 04, and then a gap down to 76-ish. So that's going to be your sort of downside, levels to watch for. 5400 obviously being a key round number, gamma level, I'm sure. And then on the NDX, pull that up. We also have a support down here at 957, 18957, and a little gap further down here below 770-ish, 775. So keep an eye on that. We do have some support levels pretty close by us down here. So whether or not it's a dead cat, I do sort of favor a little bounce today. So just keep an eye on those levels. Let me go back to this chart here. 5500 obviously is going to be a key level.
That also is my gut.
Yeah,
is a dead cat.
5500 is going to be a key area on ES as a round number. Then we've got that 510 just above, where we, that was a key level we lost yesterday. We tested it and then came back down. So that's going to be the first level I'll be looking at, and then the 545 is going to be another key level. Kind of has been in play for a little while. So we'll post these charts in the room, and I'll post some Fibonacci retracements if we are getting a bounce, which will be basically just looking at this. And then on the pivot side, let me pull up the weekly. We do have, and we got a rejection here overnight. This is a weekly S1 pivot. And as you can see, overnight we have found some resistance there. So that level is 490. So I'll be watching that. And then on the monthly pivot side, we also have this mid pivot, this yellow line here, which coincidentally runs right in line with this gap fill. So we really have a lot of support down here.
My gut would be it's if we get down there, we're probably getting to that SPX 5400, because we would be at that point 6-7 points away.
Right. So definitely watch this level. This is a huge one. This is a monthly pivot. This is kind of your over under. If we get under here, we're really into bearish territory. This is kind of the last line in the sand to, still sort of have a bullish lean to the market structure. So I'll definitely be watching that, but just a ton of support down here. And that's that 54.48, 50. So that's my lean on the indexes. There's nothing really set up as far as, a W harmonic that we were looking for yesterday, but we do if you go into an ABCD. This was about right around a 50% retrace here, which tells you on the downside to expect about a 200%, and we're right there. So that also is telling me to go long, because this is a bullish ABCD. So everything's sort of pointing to the long side. Whether it's a sustained long or a dead cat bounce remains to be seen. But even a dead cat could give us, 30, 40, 50 points. So especially, once the market's up into these territories, the percentages, even a 1% move, gives us a decent amount of range to play within. So that's the beauty of trading futures when the market's at 5,500. So on the individual stock side, I looked at a few things. I mentioned EMPH earlier this week. This is kind of shaping up for another leg up. We'll kind of watch that. I spent a little time this morning just looking at the home builders, because just with my personal experience and knowledge of real estate and what I've been reading, I shared some things this morning. Basically, home builders' inventory is basically close to 2007 levels, and they still have hundreds of thousands of units in production. They're not slowing. I think they're probably starting to thinking about slowing, but the inventory is just building up. And there's a lot of other things happening in the real estate market. So I'm kind of looking at maybe a long-term, Michael Burry-esque short the housing market. Obviously, you can look at individual stocks like Lennar, which is close to all-time high. DR Horton is close to all-time high. You can do it via something like Lowe's or Home Depot. All good options. There's some ETFs out there. Nail is a 3 times leverage bull housing market, which kind of has all of those things rolled into one. And there's some short ETFs too that are a little less liquid, but Zillow is another one I was looking at. Actually, just lost its 200-day.
Where's HB?
Yeah.
Lee.
Yeah, all-time high.
Can you go to weekly?
Long, all of these, bullish ETFs are, trending up at their highs. The home builders are at their highs, and I don't think the outlook for the next year or two is very good. So something interesting, maybe something to look at. I'm gonna do a little more research. Anybody else wants to join in the fun? Be my guest.
I'll look at what I see. I mean, these are always a tough trade because they don't. And we had a pretty good one on, I don't know, maybe 2 years ago. Similar type thing where we're like, oh, well, I mean, they don't even have enough they don't have enough houses. They can't build enough houses, and all that demand started during COVID, and they just continued to defy gravity. I think on this one, we got one of the things that we should think about is who has the highest inventory and who has the concentrations in the areas in the country.
Right.
because not all of these companies operate in the entire country.
That's the one. Lennar.
Where are they mostly? South
Florida and Texas.
Florida and Texas.
Yeah, which is ground zero for all this inventory. This is mainly in the south because everybody's moving from the northeast and from the west coast to Texas and Florida.
Gotcha.
Now, the the other thing, with rates potentially coming down, which will bring down mortgage rates, people are looking at that as a positive, which it is in a sense. People, will be a little more open to getting a loan at 5% than they are at 7%. But you have a lot of people, this sort of pent up demand where people are locked into where they're currently living because they have a
Low rate.
Yeah, I have a 3.75% interest rate.
I'm under 3. Where am I going to go and pay 7%?
Exactly. You basically double your mortgage payment or triple your mortgage payment because the housing prices are still inflated.
Yep.
I bought my house in 2011, so I mean, shit, I could sell my house for 4 times what I paid for it.
Mm-hmm.
But then I'm going to go spend 5 times that.
I think someone was talking about this on one of those spaces I was on the other day, and that they were actually talking about the home builders. I don't know if you caught I can't remember who it was. I would need to look back, but
yeah,
they were talking about the real estate market, and that a lot of people think that rates coming down is bullish the real estate market. They actually think that rates coming down makes people more willing to sell.
Exactly.
Which adds to existing inventory as well, and it's not like...
So that's what you're going to see is you're going to see if rates came down under 5% in a perfect world, that makes people, a little more
sure,
willing to do that. But then, like you said, you've got all these people that have been selling their houses at 3.5-4% or lower that say, oh, now we can move, let's put our house on the market. And now you've got all these home builders that have just outsized inventories that they're
and inventory increasing on existing homes,
right. And then it's basically becomes a price war, and it doesn't, not a price war going up, price war going down. They're chasing the market down, and there's still not enough buyers to absorb everything, and prices are just going to keep dropping. So
is there a 1x short XHB?
There is a...
I wonder what the holding cost on that is, because for me, a lot of these longer term macro trades I like to put in my Roth or in my IRA, and I can't trade options in there, so or short actually. So what I use is the inverse ETFs, as long as there's one that's not a crazy holding cost. Some of these things are 3, 4, 5% to hold them.
This is one REK, which is 1x, and then there's a SRS is 2x.
I'm actually seeing what REK has in it.
Yeah, I think they have a lot of REITs.
It's mostly swaps.
Yeah.
It's actually real estate index swaps. So it's the Dow Jones Real Estate Index swaps from Bank of America. Is 55% of the index.
Wow. So definitely some research to do there. It's not something we need to rush into, but it's something.
No, not at all.
Something.
But I think that, and obviously leaning on your experience and what you're seeing in Florida, I think that looking at something like this, whether you monetize it through actually playing the sector, or you monetize it through just a greater awareness of this is what could be coming down the line and watching for it. So a lot of times when these moves happen, people get really hurt trying to predict when the move happens. Oftentimes you can wait for when the move starts. You're going to be a little late, but it's something to definitely keep an eye on. And I think those are types of things that you've got to put on your watch list to keep on the screen.
For sure. I know we're getting close to market open, so I'll go over a couple that people posted in the chat. Meta does have that look. It's not really a harmonic because this C point has to be a max of 88. And if it drops below that, we have to get to at least a 113, and we got to a 1.05. Doesn't mean it can't work, but the preference is this to come a little lower, down to around here. But also, once you get there, you open up the possibility to a 161.8. Doesn't mean it can't turn and go up from here. You know, they say that my mentor that sort of taught me harmonics used to say, you know, this can still work out in the spirit of a harmonic, but the measurements currently don't quite fit it. Doesn't mean it can't work, but it definitely has that shape to it. Amazon, let me put it in Amazon. Same thing. This one looks also in the spirit of, because I can tell this is not.
We got a lot of these sort of almosts.
Yeah, see, it's a 962. So, but you know, it's on a 4-hour chart, so you know, a little slippage on those wicks. If you come up here, we actually, you know, this one's a little closer. And again, I would just take my Fibonacci, do a little drawing here. It's not the cleanest one, but you're probably looking at getting over this 23, which is 184. What's that number there? Let me turn off my moving average. I can't see it. 184.33. Getting over there, using that as a support and taking this further. That's a possibility. I'm not a huge fan of trading Amazon. I think I've lost my fair share of money trying to trade Amazon this year. Yeah, probably one of the few stocks I'm red on.
All of us. It's been a brutal trade. I mean, we had some really, really good ones on it, but got way overweighted by trying to buy dips and thinking it was going to break out, and then just, God, I hate that thing.
And then Perry, Crater mentioned this one.
Oh, I remember this. Didn't we have a long on this from like 16 up to 30 something, Perry?
I remember it. Well, I forget what they do. They Global
I have no idea what they do, but I owned it for a while. Let me see. Post positions.
Advertising. Okay.
That's right. So I did have a position on Perry in 2022 and 2023.
So we're in a little bit of a gap here, down to around about $8. So we're pretty close to that being filled. I don't see anything other than, you know, it's potentially a
just like shit.
Yeah. I don't know if there's another.
What were you seeing?
I don't know. Crater asked me about it.
No, I know, but what were you seeing on the John?
I just see a little bit of a gap here, and then, you know, there's room down to I guess a couple bucks, but unless there's some sort of a catalyst or you see some money coming into it, you know, some big dark pool prints or some order flow.
Well, we got the open here, and Uber was one. Can you pull that up real quick? Just because they had that news yesterday, and we had been playing that one. You played that one last week, and it set a big support area, and so I got it yesterday. For next week, I got some 67s.
Uber. I see a couple of potential things. I mean, you have that, or is this, you know, a larger M? The measurement would work. Yeah, we got like 45 here. I mean, there's potential there for an M.
I'm getting out of my Yeah, I'm muted. I'm getting out of Nvidia short. I just exited my 112s for 30% on the rolls on that. I just wanted to make sure I mention that.
So IWM, we were short yesterday. I shared this trend line here if we broke, which we did, and then I posted a little picture with a arrow pointing to this level here. So that's the key for further downside. 217.76. So watch that. If we lose that, then you're eyeing this 215.
We lose 215. This thing goes to 212, 210 fast.
Yeah, 212 would be the 61.8.
That's the breakout retest.
Yep.
212.30, I think it is. Now, I guess I shouldn't have exited my Nvidia 112s.
212.27 actually is the 61.8, so it lines up beautifully.
I mean, funny how that works, huh? Magic.
Yeah, magic.
Oh boy, guess I exited Nvidia too early.
Yeah, I was going to look at Bitcoin too. It's getting a little bit of a consolidation here, which
Bitcoin likes to sort of drop, consolidate, rip or drop. You know, it's pretty unpredictable. I think the best way to play these Bitcoin things is at huge support levels, to be honest.
what I would like to see, this is what I see setting up in Bitcoin.
Yeah, maybe.
And then sell it. So we'll keep an eye on that. Coin is definitely, I mentioned this earlier in the week, this level being sort of a key resistance spot. We got a little above it, came back below, and now we're selling.
Damn. Guess I should have kept those Nvidia 112s. I'm going to be in the money. Yep. Fuck. Holy moly. I thought this thing had a chance to go to 110 if it broke 115, but yeah,
the other thing I was going to mention on Tesla, there was a huge print that came in last night at 215.99. There was one large print for about $500 million, and then there was a bunch of smaller prints, for 10, 15, 20 million. So I think we'll see more of that over the next day or two, because some will report later. But that's definitely the line in the sand as far as to determine was that bearish or that bullish. If we start selling, if we get to it and just keep selling below it, then it was likely a sell. But those kind of prints don't usually come in after a big sell-off and are a sell. They don't, you'll see those numbers come in at highs when you've come off of a rally and you see a $500 million Tesla print. Then likely is it's going to be a sell. But after you've had a big sell-off and you see a print that size come in, the chances are it's a buy. Not guaranteed, but that's just typically the way I look at it. Institutions are not selling dips. They're selling before the dip. And we've had a pretty decent rally here off the open on Tesla. Let's jump in.
But look at the broader index. I mean, Nvidia's down 111. I might buy Nvidia calls.
So Nvidia, we probably are going to come down here to this
110.
This 21 day at 105.
I don't know if it's going to go that fast, that quick with how it's sold off. I mean, we're opening that ADDQ.
Oh wait,
is
sorry.
Opening. Where are we opening? We're opening even lower than yesterday. So, oh man, Nvidia. Oof, God.
There's this massive gap.
I know. I mean, that's literally why I was playing. It was like, oh man, this could really roll to the downside here. But I was being cautious, I guess, on the open here, not wanting to push my luck with how good yesterday was on the downside. So I am going to take an Nvidia here. I just took Nvidia.
May join you.
115 calls.
Normally, I would be looking at where we are now and saying, let's get ready to take a long position, but I'm just going to wait for things to shake out at open here. Not going to rush into anything.
All right, I got to hop off here. I will talk to you guys in the room. Have a great rest of your day.
All right.